7th Avenue, Q Handle, sorry, Q Bible, page 420. The Lord reigns, let the earth be glad, let the distant shores rejoice. Clouds of thick darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. Fire goes before him and consumes his foes on every side. His lightning lights up the world. The earth sees and trembles. The mountains melt like wax before the Lord of all the earth. The heavens proclaim his righteousness, and all his peoples see his glory. All who worship images are put to shame. Those who boast in idols worship him, all you gods. Zion hears and rejoices, and the villages of Judah are glad because of your judgments, Lord. For you, Lord, are the most high over all earth. You are exalted far above all gods. Let those who love the Lord hate evil, for he guards the lives of his faithful ones and delivers them from the hand of the wicked. Light shines on the righteousness and joy on the upright in heart. Rejoice in the Lord, you who are righteous, and praise his holy name.
I invite you to pray with me and call out for the day. Let us pray. Almighty God, whose blessed Son, our Savior Jesus Christ, ascended far above all heavens, that he might fill all things, mercifully give us faith to perceive that, according to his promise, he abides with his church on earth, even to the end of the ages, through Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, in glory, everlasting. Amen. The New Testament lesson is from John 17. This is Ascension Sunday, and I'll be mentioning the Ascension text, but the Gospel reading, I think, gives us an opportunity to really reflect on one of the implications of the ascension of Christ. And it's part of Jesus' priestly prayer in John 17. So the text begins, John 17, verse 20. Listen to the word of God. I ask not only on behalf of these, but also on behalf of all those who will believe in me through their word, that they may be all one. As you, Father, are in me, and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given them, so that they may be one as we are one. I and them, and you and me, that they may become completely one, so the world may know that you have sent me and have loved them even as you have loved me. Father, I desire that those also whom you have given me may be with me where I am, to see my glory, which you have given me because you loved me before the foundation of the world. Righteous Father, the world does not know you, but I know you, and these know that you have sent me. I made your name known to them, and I will make it known, so that the love with which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. May God bless the hearing and reading of His Word. Let us pray. Lord, open up our hearts and our minds and our souls, that we may encounter you, the living Lord, through your word proclaimed. In Jesus' name, amen. How many of you were told as a child, or were in churches where you were told that you should ask Jesus into your heart? And how many of you asked Jesus into your heart? Okay, now, for most kids that works. It worked for me. And maybe for even many adults, this idea of asking Jesus into your heart. Though I remember a mother sharing with me that her little girl came home terrified dirty, and you need to get him out right now. I've often wondered, kids touring the Mall of the Heart in the Franklin Institute. You're in that big car, you're looking around, going, maybe Jesus, you play hide and seek with Jesus in that. Now, of course, the idea that Jesus is in our heart was never meant to be lived. The idea that God is in you and me, we'll talk more about that next week on Pentecost, when we talk about the significance of the gift of the Holy Spirit. And how Jesus has promised to be with us always is fulfilled. So this idea that the Spirit of Christ is with us is a very important and essential idea of the church needs. Just as Christ is in us, we are in Christ. That's part of what Jesus is teaching here in John 17. But Christ is more than an idea or a notion. That's the trouble with the idea of the cosmic Christ, or the Christ that's in all of us, the fire idea, if you will. Because the resurrected Christ is a person, and that's very important, because if we have a hope in the resurrection, it really is tied to the idea that Christ rose from the dead. And that because Christ is a person, people or persons have to be somewhere, right? And that's part of the importance of the ascension day. It's also the hope that heaven is not just some sort of drop in the cosmic sea. If Jesus, the resurrected Christ, is somewhere, right, the implication is that when we die and at the time of the resurrection, we will be somewhere as well. Now, every week in the Creed, we state, He ascended to heaven and is seated on the right hand of God the Father Almighty. Sometimes people almost picture that literally, but first of all, God doesn't have a right hand, correct? Because God is Spirit. Right? He doesn't have, what's the right side or left side? No. It's a symbolic title, right? It connotes authority. It connotes power. It connotes that Christ has been made Lord. Now, the event of the ascension is recorded in Luke Acts, at the end of the Gospel of Luke, at the beginning of the book of Acts. It's also talked about in one verse in the longer ending of the Gospel of Mark. And in Ephesians 4:7-10, we're given a Pauline theological, if you would, spiritual interpretation of its implications. Ephesians 4:7 reads this: But each of us was given grace according to the measure of Christ's gift. Therefore it is said, when He ascended on high, He made captivity itself a captive. He gave gifts to His people. When it says He ascended, what does it mean but that He had also descended into the lower parts of the earth? He who descended is the same one who ascended far above all the heavens, so that He might fill all things. Now, this idea of the ascension is connected to the idea of the incarnation. God came down in the person of Christ, and even in His death, He descended to the very depths of existence. And then in the ascension, He goes through all of existence. In the worldview of the ancient world, it basically symbolizes that every part of creation, Christ is visible, with the implication that it is all now His. He broke the power of death when He descended into hell, and as He ascends into heaven, He is given God's throne. So it's very important in, if you would, the mythical worldview of first century, this idea of God conquering all the powers. And you remember the ancients believed that there was all kinds of levels of existence between here and heaven. So the planets were divinized and all that. So the implication of Jesus' ascension is that He is in charge of all. Right? Okay. Now we know now that heaven isn't up because we have a different understanding of the nature of the cosmos. Heaven is of a whole different order, a whole different dimension than the one we live in. But nonetheless, the implication still is a powerful one for us. That everything exists is under Christ's redemptive power. He redeemed death and everything between death and hell. John Calvin, who's the theological father of our tradition, and I'll talk more about him in July on those classes of what it means to be reformed. The doctrine of ascension is a very important doctrine for him. Okay? Part of it is involved his debates with the Lutherans. We won't get into that today. But it also has a very important aspect of what his understanding of Christ is, in his doctrine of the Trinity, and even more important for you and I, the ascension for him helps us understand what Christ's relationship is with the living church, with you and I as believers. And he talks about a number of different places. One place in the Institutes, which is his kind of theological summa, he gives three reasons that are three implications of the ascension. You know, the first one he says that in the ascension, Christ has opened up access to the heavenly kingdom. Okay? That's his words exactly. In other words, because Christ has gone to heaven, we get to go there too. And it's not just about the future, because if we are in Christ, right, we're baptized into Christ, as the prayer says, you know, I and you, they and me, right? This idea that literally we are in heaven with Christ now because we are baptized into Christ. So there's this idea that he goes to prepare a place for us, John's Gospel said. So the ascension is a statement about the hope that we have in heaven, and that heaven now has been opened to us. Second invitation for Calvin is this idea, and actually one of the kids said it, that he is our advocate. Now sometimes we talk about Jesus praying for us, but Jesus doesn't need to pray, right? Now, as part of the Trinity, the resurrected Christ doesn't need to pray for us. His very presence in heaven is his role as high priest. He is our advocate. He is the assurance that when we ask for forgiveness, what we just did in our prayer of confession, because Christ has ascended, our prayers of confession are not merely words. They open up our relationship with Christ and God every time we pray. So there's a sense where Christ being heaven is this idea of the ongoing reconciling work of humanity to God. And then the other idea that Calvin brings out is that, you know, because Christ is in heaven, then the power that he has used to conquer the forces of death, darkness, and sin are available to us. When we pray, we can pray with confidence that our prayers are in the very presence of God in heaven. And that the strength Christ exhibited in this earth in the way he faced powers of evil and death, but the strength he had in conquering the forces of evil and death allow us to live lives of freedom here. I mean, one of the most important things for us to be able to do is to not live out of fear. So much of the evil that happens in this world, so much of what's crippling in many of our lives, whether it be emotionally or psychologically, is based on this idea of fear. And some of it's very primal. I don't take it lightly. Some of us were injured greatly at some point in our lives. Some of us have experienced terrible trauma. And it's very hard to overcome that fear that's so much wrapped inside of us. But listen, the good news is that Christ has overcome. And so when you're struggling with that fear, when you're struggling with those anxieties, you have an advocate. You're not alone in it. And through the power of Christ, you can overcome those things. It's okay if it takes a while. It's okay if you don't fully believe it now. But the ascension reminds us that we have a strong Savior. And your struggles are not your fault. And you have someone who will help you overcome them. We have a source of strength that we can face whatever we have to face each day. Whether it be the huge things, the worst days of our life, or the daily struggles. But sometimes they're the hardest ones, right? Sometimes we rally over the big stuff. with a small nagging doubts, with a small nagging insecurity, sometimes in our hearts and those voices of the past that still haunt us. Because Christ has ascended, that's the voice. You know, there's not one interpretation that captures the significance of or the strangeness of the ascension of Christ. Again, it's a strange event. All right, I think it's important. Matter of fact, poor disciples are just, they've been through all this kind of crazy. It's been a crazy trip. All right, we'll say that. Okay. Well, a long, strange ride it has been. A few deadheads out there. All right. And okay, so he beat death. He's back. We're all forgiven. So this is all going to work. This is all going to have a happy ending. He's going to take us to heaven. And they go out on this mountain, right? And so they're all right, we're ready. We're going to go. And he lifts up, and they're looking up, and they're trying. And gravity is not doing, whatever gravity does for Jesus, or how he's beaten gravity wins for those guys. And women as well. And so they're looking up, and I didn't read the Acts passage, but I always thought it's kind of particularly cruel. Not only have they just seen Jesus raise up in the air, which doesn't happen every day, like never, but then the angels scold him. Why are you people looking up? Well, they're looking up because Jesus just floated up in the air. That's why they're looking up. And they think they're supposed to go too, right? Their anticipation was that there was only one resurrection. And they were to go with it, and they didn't have it. The Creed tells us that the ascension places Jesus at the right hand of the Father, which represents authority, vindication, and the anticipation of the day of judgment. Fortunately, it also implies a place of mercy. The idea that these are priests as well. But as I reflect on today's gospel reading in John 17, that after the disciples lowered their eyes from the ascending Christ, who did they look at? Each other. Jesus is Lord, but the incarnation is extended in the shared life of his followers. The witness of the unity of the church is not something that can be enforced by ecclesial hierarchy, whether it be Roman Catholic, liberal Protestant, or the various versions of conservative Protestant pagan authoritarianism. But neither can it be ignored. So that's the trouble. You can't make the unity happen, so the rest of Christians tend to ignore it, like the majority of evangelicals and the spiritual but not religious crowd. But one of the most important answers as where is Jesus after the ascension is to look at the faces gathered around him. That's the brilliance of this gospel reading on Ascension Sunday. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, brilliant lawyer, and she's really one of the best theological, as a layperson, but she's a better theological mind than many ministers I know. And she's been on a very interesting journey. She grew up in a very, very strict, ultra-conservative Calvinist home. Her father is a professor and minister of some renown in the ultra-conservative Reformed circles, Presbyterian circles. And there was a period of her life where she had to get away from that Christianity, very judgmental. But she's come back. I mean, she's come back to the faith, and it's a wonderful journey, and I've been fortunate to be part of it with her. I was talking to her the other day, and she had these two very different experiences. She went to Africa with her father, who's in his 80s, who's still preaching, and she was there with a bunch of very, very conservative people. And a number of them were very judgmental, just spouting off all the worst of what you hear in the spurious right-wing conspiracy. So that was part of who she was with. A couple weeks later, she's at a major progressive Christian conference. And one of the things that dawned on her as she was sitting there was how naturally judgmental both groups are of the other. And she said something to this effect. When you judge the judgers, Christian's reputation isn't so great, right? We haven't quite pulled this one off. But we can do this here. We can begin by being here, by not judging the judges, by praying for those we disagree with, by realizing because Christ has conquered death and is in heaven, one of the most important implications for that is for us to seek to share that love and to try to seek to be one in Him as He's one with the Father. It's a gift. It's not something we can manufacture, but it is a gift we can reject. It is a grace for us to be able, despite our differences, to be able to love God together and share that love with the world. May we, on this Ascension Sunday, seek to receive the gift that Christ prays for us. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.